Hello and welcome to Art Club. So excited to have you here and get started with some amazing projects that we're going to be doing throughout our year together. So we are working on a watercolor name template for this week, and it's going to be really cute. I can see in your futures hanging all these letters up next to each other, maybe in your room or on a door. Who knows, but I think it's going to turn out really cute. So the first thing, before we get started with our actual art project, I just wanted to address a few questions that a lot of families often have about Art Club, especially if you're new to RVA or new to taking Art Club, or just, let's be honest, it's a new year, so sometimes having a little refresher can be helpful. So first and foremost, my name is Mrs. Stinson, and I am your art teacher. Excitedly so. Cannot wait for all the amazing things we're going to create together. One of the questions then that students and families will often ask is, what happens if I can't make it to Art Club one day or 2 days, maybe because of illness or vacation or going to a really cool RVA event? And here's what I want you to know. Do not stress out over that. One of the beautiful things about this school is everything is recorded. So if we ever need to go back and watch something, even if you were in club and you just maybe want to go back and get a refresher, it is all here for you whenever you need it. So there's a couple places that you can find the recordings. The first one I'm going to direct our attention to is on the very, very right-hand side of the screen. There's sort of like what looks like a blue picture up above my head, and it says Mrs. Stinson's live class recordings. So you will click on that, and when you do, it'll take you to all of my recordings for the whole year, and you'll just find the date and time of the recording that you are looking for and click on it, and it'll take you right to that 30-minute class period. Okay? However, sometimes we don't want to watch the full 30 minutes because there's a lot of conversation and questions that happen throughout that time. Maybe you just want the directions only, which is what we're seeing right here, right? We just want to know, like, the meat and potatoes, the real good stuff, the things we need to know. So then instead, you're going to watch the directions only video. So if we look at the bottom of the slides where it says Miss Club, watch this video. Those videos are, instead of being the full 30-minute time, they're going to be anywhere between 2 and 12 minutes, depending on how many directions there are for that particular day. So feel free to watch those instead. You're still going to get all the information that you need, just in a shorter time frame. The next thing that a lot of students will ask is, do I need to turn in my art? So no, you do not need to mail it to me. No, there isn't a portal that we put it into to turn it in per se. It's not graded. It is for experience. It is for creativity. So that being said, just because we don't have to turn it in doesn't mean I don't want you to, because I want to check out all the cool stuff you're making. And you guys, if we were in an actual building, I would be plastering your artwork all over the place because I'm so proud of the wonderful things that you create. But we are in a virtual setting. So instead, I have created a virtual place where I am going to plaster your artwork everywhere. Actually, I should say where you're going to plaster it, because you get to choose whether you want to share it with everybody or not. So down over here where it says optional, share your art in the Hall of Fame. So when I click on that link, it's going to take me to the Hall of Fame for this month. And so here's my little art rhyme. You're going to claim your frame by putting in your name. So down here is where we're going to put our name. And obviously we can see it's our grade level. It's the month that we're working on. And so we'll put our name down here, and it's as simple as this to add your artwork to it. You're going to come up to the top, File, Edit, View, Insert. So fourth one over says Insert. Then I'm going to choose Image, and I'm going to choose to take a photo with my camera, with my Chromebook camera. Okay? Now you can see there's a whole bunch of other options. That's just the one that I have found is kind of the easiest and the fastest way, but feel free to use any of the other methods to insert the image too. It really takes, like, once you have it up, it takes about 5 seconds, not long at all. And then you can just edit it to what size you want and maybe crop the edges to make it look nice. You can choose to either put all of your artwork into one slide or have multiple slides that are back to back on each other. We've got plenty of room, plenty of frames, and I can always add more if needed. So this is how we're going to share our artwork. And then the cool thing is, at the end of the year, when we have our art show, this is going to be where I pull artwork from for that art show. So because then I know if you shared it to the Hall of Fame that you're willing and wanting to share that with the world, and so I'll know that it's okay to put it into the art show at the end of the year. So that is our Hall of Fame for sharing our artwork if we want. The final question that a lot of families will ask, of course we're going to get all these cool supplies, art supplies in the mail, right? So do you get to keep those or do I have to send them back? Well, you guys, here's the amazing news. Every single month you sign up for Art Club, you are going to get a bunch of supplies in the mail, and they are yours to keep. You do not need to send them back. And I get it most of the time, like with our watercolors, let's say here, for example. We're not going to use this entire thing this week alone. We might not even use all of our paper or some of the other supplies that we get. We're not going to use them all just during our art club. But at RVA, we think it's so important for you to be creating and to continue building your art skills, even when it's not necessarily our art club week. So we want you to keep those supplies so you can continue to make even more art, even when it is not our official art club week. Okay, so you keep those supplies. It's kind of like having a birthday every single month you sign up for Art Club. So keep on signing up, keep on joining in. Whew, that was a lot of information, wasn't it? Okay, yeah, that was. So let's get to the art, shall we? So what we're going to be creating this week is sort of like a name collage. So you can see the letter up above my head here. We see the letter T, right? So we're going to be making every letter in our name. Now you get to choose if you've got a nickname that you go by and you want to do that instead. Maybe it's shorter, maybe it's just more familiar to you. You can do that, or you could do your full name. Now my name is Heather, so I don't really have a shortened version of that name, so I'm just going to go with Heather. All right, so I would do a total of H-E-A-T-H-E-R. I'm going to be making a total of 7 letters this week. But of course we don't have Art Club 7 days, right? So I'm going to need to kind of plan out how many letters I need to get through each day to be done with my name by the end of the week. But also remember, if you don't get done by the end of the week, you could always work on this over the weekend or even continue on your art next week too, right? When you're done though, just make sure to take a picture of each of those letters and add them to the Hall of Fame if you're willing to. All right, so how do we do this? How are we going to make this from the supplies that we got in the mail, right? How's that going to happen? Well, let's talk part 1 of this today, and I'm going to show you guys my desktop here so you can see how to get this happening. So we're in transition. Can you guys see my hands here? Hi, how's it going? All right, so I'm going to get out one of my pieces of paper. Let me move some of this out of the way. And I'm going to be making something that looks like this, okay? So here's my letter H, and I want you guys just to notice that this is actually taped down onto yet another piece of paper. So I've got my H cut out. I've even got my letter E cut out, but now I'm going to start on the letter A. Okay, so you start with the first letter of your name. I've already got a few done, so I'm going to be working on the 3rd letter of mine. So I'm going to, nice and big, write the letter A on this piece of paper. There we go. I'm going to switch over to an orange marker just so you guys can kind of see the difference between step 1 and step 2. So the next step is I want to give my letter some thickness. So kind of like when we think of like a bubble letter, right? Some thickness to that letter. By kind of following the lines of this letter, but giving it maybe 1 inch to 2 inches out so that we're giving the letter some thickness on all of its edges. So here's the inside edge, and I'm going to do the same thing on the outside edge. Come around here. There we go, just like that. So if you try to block out the black Sharpie marker and look at just the orange one, you can see where I'm going to be cutting, okay? So my next step is grab those scissors And it is time to cut. Now, if at any point this video is going too fast, feel free to pause it, rewind it, watch it again, whatever you need to do to make sure it's going at a proper speed for your working. All right, keep cutting this up. Of course, I had to choose one of the trickiest letters, right? I feel like following a curve while you're cutting is always a little bit trickier than following a straight line. All right, and whoop. All right, so I've got the outside of my letter A cut out, but I still need to cut out this inner part. So how do I do that without cutting through my letter? Let me show you guys a little trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fold it almost like as if it was a taco. Okay, so I don't want to crease it. I'm just going to kind of fold it softly. And where I know that that inner part is, I'm just going to do a, whoop, a little cut. So you can see that now there is a slit through the middle, and that gives me a place in which to put my scissors. And now I can follow that line. Now, if you need help with any of these steps, feel free to ask your adult, you guys. We are always building our skills, and we all have different experiences and different skill levels that we're starting out on. So never feel bad if you need to check with your at-home mentor, with an adult that's near you, and ask them for a little bit of assistance with any of these steps. Okay, there we go. Excellent. So you can see I've now got H, E, A. We're only going to necessarily, depending on how many letters you have in your name, you only need to do 1 or 2 of these per day. If you've got a really long name, I guess we might need to do even more than that. But kind of have your name spelled out. What I would do is just make sure we know how many letters we have to do. So, not a bad idea. My paper is not wanting to get picked up here. Not a bad idea to write your name onto just a scrap piece of paper like I have here. So I'm going to write my name, Heather, and then I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 letters in my name, and so I know that I got to do more than 1 per day since we don't have 7 days for our art club. All right, now that I've got my letter cut out, the next thing I want to do is tape it to a new sheet of paper. But we're only going to tape it temporarily because we will, once we're done with the painting part, we will be removing this letter. So we don't want to put a ton of tape. We definitely don't want to be gluing it. We just want to have it kind of temporarily attached here. So how do I know how many pieces of tape to use? Well, you're going to want to just kind of see if there's any edges kind of curling up or sticking out. Kind of set them around in enough places until it seems like, okay, that will hold it down, but without it being too many pieces. All right, I am taking my piece of tape, and and any tape will work, you guys. I'm just using the clear tape, but if you want to use like a masking tape, that's okay too. And you can see I've got it maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. And what I'm going to do then, and once again, if you need an adult to help with this step, feel free to ask them, but I'm going to twirl it inside out so that one end connects with the other end, and it makes a circle, a hoop, like that. And I'm going to peel this off, and I'm going to stick it onto the back side of my letter. So can you see it's just sticking on? There's that little hoop of it, just like that. And I'm going to keep on doing this around my letter until it seems like, yeah, that should hold it down without it being too much. So once again, making another hoop. And there we go. You probably want to get one kind of towards the top edge, just so that doesn't come up. There we go. I'll probably do 2 more, I think, on this letter here. Twirling it around. And I'll do 1 more right there. Just like that. Okay, so here you can kind of see where I've got my pieces of tape. And then I'm going to position it into the middle-ish of this piece of paper and tape it on down. Just like that. Okay, I have got this letter ready to go. If you only have 5 letters of your name, that's as far as we need to get today. If you have maybe between 6 and 10 letters, then we're going to want to do one more letter today and do, about 2 letters-ish per day until we've got them all done. So just kind of calculate that out, have an adult help you with how many per day. And for me, like, I'll have to do 2 some days, but then I only have to do 1 other days because I have 7 in mine. So kind of calculate that out. But this is as far as we're getting today. Just 1 or maybe 2 of these letters ready to go. And for tomorrow, we want to make sure we have ready, we're going to be doing our painting, so we want to have our watercolors ready for tomorrow, our water with paintbrush ready to go. You might want to have some kind of like a tablecloth or maybe a paper bag spread out, maybe a smock on, just because we are going to be painting. So depending on what your family rules are for painting, make sure you're following those. And we're also, oddly enough, going to need one of those straws tomorrow as well. So make sure you have that ready to go. I can't wait to show you what the next steps are because this is when it's going to start to get really fun. All right, you guys, we will see you next time. Have fun cutting out those letters.